there's a sound that's recognizable, and it makes me wonder. Using the PA system we installed in the last video, can we make our Jeep play those same sounds? Let's find out. Hey everyone, Jacob Mast here. Today we're going to do some basic programming to make our iPhones talk with this little microcontroller over Bluetooth. I'm going to assume that you know some basic programming and can make a decent table view inside of Xcode. If you can't, there's other tutorials out there that can help you out, because this video won't help you. However, if you do have those skills, well, let's get going. So the first thing you're going to do is add the core Bluetooth framework to your project. Once that's done, go into the header file and just add the necessary import and add our two delegate methods. There's going to be one for the central manager, and then there's going to be a second for the peripheral. So centrals and peripherals, those are Bluetooth standard terms. You can think of them as master-slave, client-server, take your pick. Pretty much it's going to be our iPhone that's going to be acting as the central, and our Jeep is going to be the peripheral. And now we can go back into our main implementation file and start adding some variables. We'll add a simple boolean to tell whether or not the device is connected. We'll add a variable for the central manager itself. Add another one for the peripheral, our feather kit. And we'll add a couple of unique identifiers, one for the device itself and then one for the transmit side. With that, we'll also go through and add a surface characteristic. Again, these are just minor things that are necessary for the Bluetooth technology. We'll add another array that just maintains all the peripherals that the device has found. And we'll add a basic timer so we can keep track of timing-based things. So, alright, in view.load we'll go ahead and initialize some of these variables. Set the connection to false. Initialize our central manager. With ourself as the delegate. And we'll declare our unique identifiers. Now these can be set up for specific identifiers, or they can be left blank, in which case it will search for anything. And I mistyped that, but we'll go through and fix that later. Okay, now we'll create a new method to begin scanning. Initialize the peripheral array. And validate our timer in case there's one that's already started. Declare the timer from scratch. With time interval, we'll set 17 seconds. We'll do a nice random number like that. And make a new selector that's going to say cancel scan. And we'll null out that user info, and we do not want this to repeat. So what's going to happen is when this timer fires, it's going to cancel scanning. And then now we actually have to start scanning, so scan for peripherals with the services we listed above. And we do not want to allow duplicates. And just like we started a function to start scanning, we're going to create one to cancel it, which is as simple as calling stop scan. Create another one to disconnect from the peripheral. And that's just simple as saying central manager cancel connection. And then we're going to set the Boolean to false because, well, it's not connected. So, alright, now we actually start getting into some of the delegate methods for the central manager. First one we'll use here is simply just a did update state. And we're going to do one that says if Bluetooth is powered on, start scanning. Otherwise, you can add yourself an alert that says, hey, turn Bluetooth on, do something, whatever. You can figure that part out yourself, make it however you want. Now we have another method that says if we do discover a peripheral, add it to the array, and reload the table view. So our table view is going to do two things. First is that it's going to list out all the files available for the Jeep to play. The second is going to be that it's going to show out all the Bluetooth devices that our phone picks up, allowing you to select and connect to one of them. Alright, now if we connect to that peripheral, obviously we can stop scanning because we're connected. We want to maintain a reference to the peripheral, and we need to set the delegate to itself. And now that we're connected, we need to go through and actually figure out what services that device has. So we set a method for that. We declare the Boolean true that we are connected. And once again, we go through and reload the table view data. Since we called the function to discover services, what happens if we find them? So new method, did discover services. And this would just be a simple for loop. So for each service in services, peripheral discover characteristics. And if we are discovering characteristics, we will scroll and find a new, there it is. Find the appropriate method for did discover the characteristics, which again is going to be a for loop. For characteristic, and we'll call this one C, in service, service characteristics, and we'll compare to see if the ID it provides is equal to the one that we're looking for. And if it is, we will assign it and call it good. Alright, now that's most of the programming we need for that. The next thing is just to get the table view to show that information. And so we take our table view, wrap the entire thing pretty much inside of a if condition, and saying if we're connected, we'll show this data. If not, then we'll scroll down here. We'll get the peripheral that corresponds to the item at the specific index path, at the specific table view row, and we'll set the text label for that equal to peripheral name. Do the same thing for the number of rows, where we encapsulate the existing data inside that if statement. And if you're not connected, we'll just return the number of items inside the peripherals array. For number of sections, again, however many is in your data. Again, however many is in your table view prior goes inside the if we're connected block. Otherwise, we're going to return 1. Change the titles inside the header view section. Again, whatever data you had before. And then a second one for available devices. So if you've done everything correctly, your app should be able to scan for devices and display them in the table view. But that means there's still just one more thing we have to do: connect to the device. And for that, we're going to add one more function, the table view did select row at index path. So again, one more if statement. If we're connected, we'll do other things. In our case, we're going to send a text string. That's going to be the name of the file that we're playing. Else, Central Manager, connect peripheral. And we want the specific one at the index path row of the table view. Now, if we are connected, we're going to do a basic string that's going to be sent as data across the BLE connection. And we'll make this string something simple, Velociraptor sounds. Sounds good? And we'll convert that to an NS data value. So let's see, string data. And then we're going to make our peripheral write that value for the transmit characteristic. And because I'm a fan of TCP, we'll make that with response. I know it's not the same thing, but it makes me feel comfy. Alright, that built without issues, so let's give the app a try. I already have it open up on my phone here, so tap one and another, and that looked like it worked. So open up the Arduino IDE, and we'll just use some of the existing examples and modify those. So Bluetooth, we need the BLE UART command mode, and then we have the feather player for the SD card. And we'll just go through, copy the various items that we need from the feather player over. And I'm doing this on the 32, so we need these pins. Again, copy them down. File player, yep, we'll want that one. And give it an extra space. See, let's go down to setup. All right,
we're
so
not
we won't
going to
be
be talking
using
on
serial
serial,
connection,
so we can remove
pretty much all of those lines. It's these, that one, this chunk. Don't need that. Let's see, go down to loop. We're not checking for inputs. We're not sending anything from this, so delete that. And you know what, this whole thing about gather input, yeah, like I said, that's part of it. We don't need it. So, back over here on the feather player, we need the set volume. And because again, 32, so we use this interrupt pin. And lastly, the playful file line. Copy that, move this down here, and we'll set this inside of a else block that says, if the buffer is greater than 0, play the file. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything. Who cares? And we'll use the buffer as the file name. And that means we're going to set the file name based off of this, and not what's hard-coded in here. So move this part up to wait for OK before we do anything else. And again, delete the serial line. Alright, now that's the last of the programming that needs to be done, but we still have to add this to the Jeep.
And then we just go through, fish this down, put our hand in, grab it out. We'll put that right there. And then we get perfect access to these cables. Take a few of these quick connects. One right there. We want this one on the yellow. Because this would be our power. And
alright, now that's most of the programming we need for that. The next thing is just to get the table view to show that information. Otherwise, we're going to return 1. Just like that. Plug this up, and if you look, we have a red light. So this works. So now we just have to go through, plug the audio cable in, stick you right there, and we are good to go. Done. Alright, hopefully this video helps you out a little bit. Leave me a message down in the comments if you want to see something else. But definitely go ahead and like and subscribe, because there's going to be some changes coming up to the channel soon. I've realized that I'm doing way too much effort on projects and not enough on the photography and adventure side of the house. So expect some changes. Until then, see you in the next video.